Have you ever noticed how some people walk through life as if the entire universe is quietly rearranging itself to help them? They move with calm assurance, not because life is perfect, but because they expect it to be. When obstacles appear, they smile, not out of arrogance, but out of faith that even this will serve them. Think of Thomas Edison, who faced 1,000 failures before the light bulb finally illuminated his path. Even a small town shopkeeper who greets every challenge with a quiet confidence, saying, "It'll all work out somehow," understands a truth that escapes most of us. Life tends to bend in the direction of our deepest expectations. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Earl Nightingale speaking, and tonight I want to share with you a simple truth, one that has guided the successful, the serene, and the wise throughout history. It is this: act as if everything always works out for you. Now, at first glance, that might sound like wishful thinking, but it isn't. It's a principle rooted in the very fabric of human behavior and universal law. You see, people don't get what they want, they get what they expect. Your expectations form a pattern, and life, in its mysterious and obedient way, fills that pattern. When you carry yourself as though life is working in your favor, you begin to notice opportunities that others miss. You become calm where others panic. You find solutions where others see dead ends. Every person listening to me right now is broadcasting something, an invisible frequency of belief. Some broadcast fear, some doubt, but those rare few who carry the frequency of quiet assurance, the ones who walk, speak, and think as though things will turn out well, draw circumstances that match their inner certainty. They live in a different world, though they share the same streets as everyone else. When you act as if everything works out, you don't ignore reality, you reshape it. You no longer ask, "What if it fails?" Instead, you ask, "What if it succeeds?" This shift changes your posture, your choices, even your tone of voice. You make that phone call you've been putting off. You take that step toward a dream that once felt distant. And miraculously, life begins to meet you halfway. Remember this: life responds not to need, but to belief. If you walk with the conviction that the winds of circumstance are behind you, they often will be. If you move forward with fear, you'll find proof of danger. But if you advance with faith, you'll find evidence of possibility. The law is impersonal. It simply reflects you. You might say, "Earl, that sounds too easy." But the greatest truths always do. To act as if everything works out doesn't mean pretending. It means aligning your thoughts, speech, and actions with a confident expectancy. It means standing up each morning and saying, "Whatever comes my way today, it's here for my good." It means treating every challenge as a teacher, every delay as direction, and every difficulty as a disguised advantage. Try it tomorrow. Walk a little taller. Speak with assurance. Look for the good instead of the flaw. You'll feel a change, not in the world outside, but in the world within. And once the inner world shifts, the outer one follows. Remember this line and carry it with you. When you act as if everything always works out, life has no choice but to prove you right. Expectation is the invisible architect of our lives. It is the quiet designer that sketches the outlines of our days before they unfold. You and I live not according to what we wish for, but according to what we expect. Our expectations are the blueprints of our reality. A man may desire success with all his heart, but if he secretly expects to fail, he has already written the first chapter of his defeat. Another, with modest desires but unshakable expectation, walks into every endeavor as though success were inevitable, and more often than not it is. Life, in its strange and obedient way, becomes the mirror of what we assume to be true. It is a curious thing about human beings: we rarely rise above our expectations. We can work hard, dream big, even pray fervently, yet the real measure of what we will achieve lies in what we quietly believe will happen. Expectation is not arrogance, it is faith in motion. It is the calm assurance that the universe operates on order, and that order responds to conviction. The farmer expects a harvest when he plants a seed, not because he is delusional, but because he understands the laws of nature. The same is true of your mind. What you expect with patience and persistence tends to appear. You can test this principle in small ways. Begin the day expecting good things, expecting pleasant encounters, expecting solutions instead of problems. You will find that your mind becomes alert to opportunities it once ignored. A person's expectation filters what he notices. When you expect trouble, you notice only evidence of it. When you expect favor, you begin to see doors where others see walls. This is not magic, it is the natural consequence of a mind directed by positive anticipation. The salesman who expects to close the deal speaks differently, carries himself differently, projects an invisible confidence that others sense. The artist who expects his work to be meaningful approaches the canvas with a freer hand and a bolder spirit. Expectation turns ordinary effort into creative power. Most people live by reaction, not expectation. They wake up waiting to see what happens rather than quietly deciding what will. And so they drift like leaves on the surface of a pond, blown whichever way the wind moves them. But the man or woman who cultivates high expectation becomes like the captain of a ship. The waves may rise, the storm may howl, but the direction remains set. Expectation is the compass that steadies the course when the external world is uncertain. To expect the best is not to deny reality, it is to call forth the best version of it. It is to hold an image in your mind so faithfully that the world begins to shape itself around that image. You begin to walk differently, to speak differently, to act with the quiet dignity of one who knows the outcome is already leaning in his favor. And as surely as the sun rises, the world responds to that certainty. There is a calmness that comes when a person truly believes things will work out. It is not the calm of ignorance, nor the calm of pretending. It is the calm of one who knows that worry and panic serve no purpose. When a man is assured within himself, he moves differently. His words carry a quiet authority, his actions possess direction. While others scatter in confusion, he remains centered, guided by clarity. You can almost feel it when such a person enters a room, the sense that he knows where he is going and why he is there. That calm assurance, that inner composure, is the soil from which clarity grows. Most people live their days in a storm of uncertainty. They react to circumstances as a leaf reacts to the wind, tossed and turned without control. When trouble arises, they let fear take the wheel, and soon every decision they make is colored by anxiety. But the one who remains calm sees further. His mind, free from panic, is able to discern what others overlook. While the frightened mind is busy imagining disaster, the calm mind is quietly building solutions. When you believe that things work out for you, you stop wasting energy on what might go wrong and start using that energy to make things go right. There is an old truth that says the world belongs to those who can keep their heads when others are losing theirs. This isn't a matter of luck or temperament. It's the result of trust. The man who believes that life bends in his favor doesn't flinch at every gust of wind. He sees the storm as temporary, knowing it carries lessons and opportunities disguised as chaos. From this belief comes clarity, and from clarity comes wise action. He doesn't hurry or hesitate. He simply acts when the time is right, and because his actions are born of calm assurance, they carry more weight and precision. Calmness is not inaction, it is the power to act without waste. It keeps the mind focused on essentials and prevents emotion from clouding judgment. When you expect good outcomes, you stand still inside while the world rushes about. You can listen deeply, observe carefully, and respond intelligently. This steadiness creates trust in others. People naturally follow those who seem certain of their direction, and they avoid those who appear lost. Your calmness becomes a beacon not just for your own path, but for those around you who seek stability in uncertain times. Clarity is born from peace, not pressure. When the mind is still, the right ideas emerge, the right words come, and the right timing reveals itself. That is why the individual who walks through life with steady assurance often appears lucky, because his clear mind recognizes opportunity the instant it appears. The moment you decide that everything works out for you, confusion begins to fade, fear loses its grip, and what once seemed complicated becomes simple, manageable, and clear. Faith is not a wish whispered into the dark. It is the steady light that keeps burning long after others have lost theirs. Most people think of faith as something emotional, something mystical. But faith in its truest form is a discipline. It is a way of training the mind to believe in a favorable outcome, even when there's no evidence yet to prove it. It is mental conditioning practiced daily until confidence becomes second nature. Just as muscles are built through resistance, faith is strengthened through doubt and difficulty. Every challenge you face is an invitation to deepen your belief that life works for you, not against you. You see, belief is easy when the path is smooth. Anyone can smile when the sun is shining, but true faith is forged when the night feels endless, when everything seems uncertain, and yet, within yourself, you choose to believe that good will emerge. That choice, repeated often enough, becomes a habit, and habits, as we know, become character. The man or woman who practices faith doesn't simply hope for good things, they expect them, prepare for them, and act in harmony with them. The world, in turn, begins to align with that steady conviction. When faith becomes a discipline, fear loses its control. You stop running from problems and start walking toward solutions. Instead of asking, "What if this fails?" you ask, "What if this works?" And that subtle change of question shifts everything. It releases mental energy that was once trapped in worry and redirects it toward creation, progress, and growth. Faith does not mean ignoring reality, it means understanding that reality itself is shaped by your response to it. If you respond with fear, the walls close in. If you respond with faith, new paths appear. Every day, the world tests our belief. Plans fall through, people disappoint, results delay. The difference between those who succeed and those who surrender lies not in the events themselves, but in the attitude with which they are met. The faithful mind says, "There must be a reason for this, there must be something good hidden here." And because it expects to find something of value, it always does. This is the unseen advantage of disciplined faith. It makes the impossible possible by turning every experience into part of the process. Faith practiced daily gives a man quiet power. He no longer needs to rush or prove himself, for he knows that what is meant for him will find him. His calmness attracts, his confidence assures, and his actions carry a force beyond logic. When others doubt, he continues. When others pause, he progresses. For him, faith is not a feeling that visits occasionally. It is the foundation upon which every thought, decision, and effort stands. And as surely as the sun follows the dawn, the world rearranges itself to honor that steady, disciplined belief. Energy follows thought. Whatever you hold in your mind long enough begins to shape your reality. This is one of the most consistent laws of life, yet most people use it against themselves without realizing it. They dwell on what they fear, what they resent, what they wish were different, and life, ever obedient, multiplies those very things. But the person who understands this principle learns to master it. He knows that every thought he chooses is an instruction to his subconscious mind, and every instruction, repeated often enough, directs his actions and attitude toward a certain result. The mind is the compass. The energy of life moves in whatever direction you point it. If you think confidently, you begin to walk confidently. If you think small, your efforts shrink to fit that belief. A man cannot think one thing and produce another. His tone of voice, his habits, his posture, even the way he shakes a hand, all are reflections of the thoughts that dominate his inner world. When he begins to act as if everything works out for him, his energy changes. He speaks with warmth instead of worry. He listens with patience instead of panic, and that invisible shift draws better circumstances to him. It is not chance, it is alignment. The outer life merely echoes the rhythm of the inner thought. People often wonder why their dreams seem far away or why opportunities pass them by. The answer lies in their thinking. They want success, but their thoughts are filled with doubt. They seek happiness, yet they dwell on complaint. They plan for growth, but they expect decline. Their energy, their words, their very presence contradict their desires. The moment they begin to think differently, sincerely and persistently, their energy changes and life begins to respond. It is like tuning a radio. When you adjust the frequency, you start receiving a new broadcast. The frequency of confident, optimistic thought brings clarity, ideas, and people who resonate with that same vibration. The mind is not a passive instrument, it is a living magnet. What you think about, you bring about. Your dominant thoughts determine how you feel, and how you feel determines how you act. Every action sends a ripple into the world, and that ripple returns multiplied. When your thoughts are guided by faith and expectancy, your energy becomes creative instead of reactive. You begin to work from vision instead of from fear. You start to speak as though your success were already unfolding, and soon enough it is. To control one's thought is to control one's destiny. Each time you redirect a negative idea toward a constructive one, you reclaim power that was once scattered. Each time you imagine the best possible outcome, you send energy forward to shape it. The person who understands that energy follows thought no longer waits for good fortune. He creates it in the laboratory of his mind, where all things are first made before they are seen. Gratitude is the quiet magnet that draws good fortune toward us. It is more than politeness, more than saying thank you. It is a state of mind that transforms how we see and experience the world. A grateful person lives in continual awareness of abundance, while an ungrateful one walks through the same world blind to its gifts. When you live with gratitude, you send out a signal that says, "I am ready for more." And life, ever attentive, responds with more things to appreciate. Gratitude is not merely an emotional reaction, it is an energetic invitation for opportunity, prosperity, and peace to enter your life. The mind that is ungrateful cannot see clearly. It focuses only on what is missing, what is lacking, what is wrong, and so it multiplies those conditions. It's a curious law of nature that what we give attention to expands. The man who spends his days complaining finds more reasons to complain. The one who counts his blessings finds more blessings to count. Gratitude sharpens perception. It tunes the mind to notice possibilities and patterns of good that pessimism blinds us to. Two men can face the same hardship, one curses it, the other gives thanks for the lesson. The one who gives thanks grows stronger, wiser, and more capable of success. When we approach life with gratitude, our energy changes. We begin to expect good things because we are already aware of them. Gratitude removes the tension of struggle. It replaces effort with harmony. It is the soil in which faith grows easily. For when you are thankful, you acknowledge that something greater than yourself is at work on your behalf. The grateful person is calm, generous, and composed. He attracts cooperation because he radiates appreciation. People feel safe around him because his spirit affirms rather than condemns. Gratitude is not only spiritual, it is practical. It opens doors, softens hearts, and turns transactions into relationships. Begin today to cultivate the habit of gratitude. Before you rise, think of one thing that is working well in your life. During the day, notice something ordinary, a conversation, a meal, a moment of rest, and quietly say, "Thank you." This simple act reconditions the mind. It teaches your thoughts to seek the positive automatically. And when challenges arise, the habit of gratitude turns your focus from fear to faith. You begin to say, "There must be a reason for this, and I am thankful for the lesson it will bring." That mindset transforms burdens into bridges. Gratitude is the art of seeing the invisible good that surrounds you. It sharpens your awareness until you begin to see beauty and advantage where others see only trouble. In that state, you cannot help but succeed because you are aligned with the highest law of increase. What you appreciate appreciates. The more thankful you become, the more reasons life will give you to remain thankful. Every obstacle carries within it the seed of its own solution. What looks like a wall is often a door in disguise. The difference lies not in the circumstance, but in the perception of the one who meets it. To the fearful, a challenge is punishment. To the wise, it is instruction. Life, in its infinite wisdom, never sends a difficulty without also embedding within it the means to grow beyond it. The man who understands this principle stops asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begins to ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That question alone transforms the meaning of struggle. It turns pain into preparation and loss into lesson. When you begin to see obstacles as instruments, your entire relationship with hardship changes. You stop running from problems and start studying them. You look at them the way a craftsman looks at raw material, something to be shaped, refined, and turned into value. A setback is no longer an enemy but a messenger delivering hidden opportunity. This shift in awareness is the mark of maturity. It is the mental habit of those who rise, again and again, regardless of the difficulty before them. They understand that adversity sharpens the mind just as friction polishes the stone. Every successful individual can trace their growth to moments of struggle. The athlete's strength is built by resistance, the leader's wisdom by challenge, the thinker's clarity by confusion. If everything were easy, nothing would develop. The same force that bends a tree against the wind strengthens its roots. The same weight that burdens your shoulders builds your endurance. When viewed this way, even disappointment becomes a silent ally. It's the universe's way of saying, "You are ready for more, grow into it." Though consider for a moment how many blessings arrive wearing the mask of trouble. A lost job that leads to a better calling. A failure that redirects effort toward a truer purpose. A betrayal that teaches discernment. The lesson hides inside the loss, and only the patient mind discovers it. The person who reacts with bitterness remains trapped in the surface pain. The one who pauses to reflect uncovers the treasure buried within. Life does not test us to break us, it tests us to reveal us, to show us what we are made of and to prepare us for what we seek. When obstacles arise, they do not block the path, they are the path. They point the way forward by forcing us to grow stronger, wiser, more disciplined. The person who greets each challenge with curiosity instead of complaint learns to convert resistance into power. He becomes the kind of individual who thrives under pressure, who smiles where others shrink, because he knows that every difficulty carries within it the very material of his advancement. To him, obstacles are not interruptions, they are invitations to evolve. The image you hold of yourself determines almost everything you will ever experience. Before a person can achieve outward success, he must first see himself as capable of it. The world, after all, reflects what you think you deserve. A man with a poor self-image walks through life apologizing for his existence. He hesitates, doubts, and shrinks from opportunity, believing it belongs to someone more qualified, more fortunate, or more deserving. Another man with the same talents and the same challenges walks with quiet certainty. He expects to succeed not out of vanity, but out of understanding. He knows that the way he sees himself is the way life will see him. Your self-image acts as an invisible governor, regulating the limits of your performance. You will never rise above the picture you hold in your own mind. If you see yourself as average, you will behave accordingly. If you see yourself as exceptional, your actions will follow suit. The great secret of achievement lies not in talent nor in opportunity, but in identity. You become what you believe yourself to be. Every decision, every conversation, every habit stems from that central belief. The man who carries a confident self-image makes choices that align with confidence. The one who feels inferior makes decisions that confirm inferiority. This is why it is so vital to act as if success is natural to you. Not because you are pretending, but because you are training the mind to accept a new identity. When a young actor steps onto the stage for the first time, he may tremble with uncertainty. But as he continues to act the part, something remarkable happens. The performance becomes real. The audience believes him because he begins to believe himself. Life works the same way. You must first act as the person you wish to become until that action crystallizes into habit, and habit hardens into truth. The self-image is built, not bestowed. It is shaped by repetition, by the words you speak to yourself, and by the standards you choose to uphold. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen that image. Each time you rise from failure, instead of surrendering to it, you polish it further. Confidence is not arrogance. It is quiet faith in your ability to handle life. It is the inner statement that says, "Whatever comes, I will meet it." And because that belief governs your behavior, the world begins to treat you accordingly. When you begin to walk, speak, and think as if success were already familiar, it becomes difficult for life to deny it to you. People sense certainty. They respond to it instinctively. Opportunities flow toward those who carry themselves as though they belong among them. The self-image is destiny in disguise. It quietly writes the script of your future long before you take the stage. Patience is not the absence of action. It is the quiet confidence that what you desire is on its way. It is strength restrained, power under control, faith stretched across time. Most people mistake impatience for ambition. They rush, they push, they force, believing that movement equals progress. Yet often, the most decisive steps in life are taken by those who know how to wait. The person who understands patience understands rhythm. He knows that life has its seasons. One for planting, one for growing, and one for harvesting. To demand the fruit before its time is to destroy the tree that bears it. When you trust that things work out for you, patience becomes your natural posture. You no longer fight the clock or fear delay. You know that what is meant for you cannot be taken from you, and so you move with calm assurance rather than frantic haste. The impatient mind lives in tension, constantly measuring distance between where it is and where it wants to be. The patient mind, however, moves in harmony with purpose. It uses the waiting time to prepare, to learn, to refine itself, so that when the moment comes, it is ready. Life rewards the prepared, not the panicked. Consider how nature operates. The seed does not bloom the day it is buried. The river does not carve its canyon in a single night. The stars themselves took alms to find their perfect order in the heavens. Yet everything unfolds precisely as it should. The same law governs our lives. The dreams we plant take root long before we see evidence of them. To the impatient, this waiting feels like failure. To the patient, it is faith in motion. He understands that unseen progress is still progress. He does not dig up his efforts to check if they are growing. He continues to nurture them in quiet belief. Patience strengthens power because it keeps emotion steady. It prevents discouragement from turning into defeat. When you act in faith rather than fear, you act more wisely. The impatient person exhausts his energy on worry and second-guessing, while the patient one conserves it for meaningful action. The calm man thinks clearly when others are clouded by doubt. His confidence becomes his advantage, and because he waits without wavering, the right opportunities seem to come to him at the right time. There is a deep wisdom in allowing life to unfold without forcing its pace. The patient individual knows that timing is part of success. He is neither idle nor anxious. He acts when it is time to act and rests when it is time to wait. He understands that delay is not denial, that sometimes the distance between effort and result is the space where character is forged. Patience is the bridge between intention and realization, between belief and manifestation, between what you dream and what you finally hold in your hands. Optimism is not a fragile hope that things might work out. It is a deliberate decision to believe they will. It is an act of strength, not softness. The person who chooses optimism directs his energy toward creation, while the pessimist spends his on complaint. When you work with the conviction that life bends toward your success, every effort gains momentum. Optimism transforms the ordinary act of trying into a confident expectation of victory. It gives direction to your energy, purpose to your work, and endurance to your spirit. It doesn't deny difficulty, it simply refuses to be defined by it. The mind that believes in positive outcomes becomes a source of power. Every great achievement has been born from such belief. The inventor who endures failure after failure keeps moving because he expects the next attempt to succeed. The leader who stands firm in chaos steadies others because he is certain that order will return. Even the individual facing personal hardship finds strength by holding the quiet conviction that good will emerge from the struggle. Optimism gives courage its reason. Without it, fear dictates every move. With it, fear loses its authority. When you approach your work with decisive optimism, you stop waiting for perfect conditions, you create them. You stop hesitating at the first sign of trouble because you know trouble is temporary. The optimist doesn't ignore risk. He manages it with perspective. He understands that no storm lasts forever, that beyond the noise and confusion lies clarity. This steady belief allows him to act boldly when others freeze. Optimism does not blind, it illuminates. It gives the mind something firm to hold while the winds of uncertainty blow. Optimism sharpens focus. When you believe in a favorable outcome, your attention moves toward possibility, not limitation. You notice what can be done instead of what can't. You begin to speak with confidence, plan with precision, and work with enthusiasm. And people, sensing that energy, respond to it. They are drawn to those who believe in the better side of things, for such belief is contagious. It lifts the spirit and ignites hope in those who have forgotten their own. The optimistic person becomes a living reminder that success is not an accident. It is a state of mind practiced daily. This kind of optimism must be deliberate. It is not found in wishful thinking, but in disciplined thought. Each morning you decide to focus on what is possible instead of what is wrong. Each evening you reflect on what went right rather than what went missing. Gradually, this habit rewires the mind to see opportunity everywhere. Decisive optimism transforms effort because it aligns emotion with purpose. When the heart believes in the goodness of the outcome, the hands work with greater care and the results follow. Optimism is not denial of reality, it is mastery of it. The calm assurance that every circumstance contains a doorway to a better one. Belief is the quiet architect of reality. Long before anything appears in the physical world, it exists first as a thought accepted as true. The life you live today is a reflection of what you have believed possible for yourself. The victories, the defeats, the opportunities, the limitations, they all mirror the convictions held in your heart. You cannot escape your beliefs any more than a tree can escape its roots. The fruit you bear in life depends entirely on the quality of those roots. If you believe the world is generous, you will find generosity everywhere. If you believe it is hostile, you will meet hostility at every corner. Life does not argue, it simply reflects. Most people live unaware of this power. They think beliefs are small, private ideas kept inside the mind, but in truth they are commands given to the universe. What you believe consistently becomes instruction to your behavior, tone, and direction. Belief dictates how you walk, how you speak, how you respond to opportunity. Two people can face the same challenge. One believes he can, the other believes he cannot. And though the difficulty is identical, the results are worlds apart. Belief is the difference between persistence and surrender, between fear and confidence, between a life of reaction and a life of design. When you hold a strong belief in favorable outcomes, life begins to rearrange itself accordingly. You start to act with greater assurance, and assurance attracts cooperation. You make decisions more quickly, and clarity invites progress. The hesitant man waits for proof before he believes. The wise man believes and thereby creates the proof. This is not superstition. It is cause and effect. The mind that believes in limitation continually finds reasons to confirm it, while the mind that believes in expansion continually discovers ways to make it so. What you hold as true about yourself sets the ceiling on your growth. Change your belief, and you change the boundary of your possibilities. Every advancement in human history began as belief. The explorers believed there was land beyond the horizon. The inventors believed there was light beyond the darkness. The dreamers believed there was a way where none seemed to exist. They were not guided by evidence but by conviction. Belief gave them the courage to move when others stayed still. It is the unseen force behind every great endeavor, the invisible companion of every remarkable life. The world mirrors what you believe it to be. If you believe life is unfolding in your favor, it begins to reveal its hidden order. If you believe you are capable, opportunity gravitates toward you. Belief is the foundation of all creation, the starting point of every result. It is the master key to destiny, quietly shaping every thought, every decision, every event. As a man believes, so shall his world become.